Hey everyone, it's Justine Browning at the Paley Center in New York City to talk to the cast of the hit Lifetime series, Unreal. And I have to say, I have to geek out for a second. I wrote you a fan letter when you were on Roswell, and you sent an autographed picture back, and it was like the greatest moment of my life, and I had it on my wall.
That's so incredible. I'm so glad to meet
And
you.
now we're
I
here.
know where those things go, so that's amazing.
Framed, what? Okay.
Yeah.
But I would love to talk a bit about how this character's life, her relationships, kind of mirror thematically the relationships that are playing out in the show that she's working on, Everlasting.
Well, it's really her job is to get in with the characters, to manipulate them. So the more they trust her, the more good story she's able to create. And I think just being a person that they can trust unknowingly that that's a bad decision really works in her favor.
What I love too is that the characters on the show, the female characters on this show, they're called certain names and they take it as a compliment, right? When they're called bitch or they're called diabolical, they take it as a compliment. And in a way, I think this role is taking back some of those negative connotations that are sometimes hurled at women and turning them into a positive. Could you speak to that?
How calling a woman a bitch is a positive thing? Well, it's like, bitch, please.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we have fun with things. We're trying to have a good time.
It's fascinating because to deal with the themes that you do with this series, I think people could have easily been off-put by some of the characters because on the surface they do seem to some degree unlikable, and yet the way we watch Rachel, the way we watch Quinn, they're so compelling. You talk about bringing that humanity to them even when they're being so cutthroat.
That's so sweet. Yeah, I mean, we try really hard to make them as three-dimensional as possible, and even though they're doing awful things, they have their own journeys and their own struggles, and so I think if you can feel for Rachel and how much this world is killing her soul, maybe you don't hate her so much for destroying other women.
Well, I would love to talk a bit about the fact that this weekend the series won a Peabody Award, which is incredible because on the surface you wouldn't think of this show as something that is making such a cultural impact, and yet once you start to watch it and you delve into it, I think it really is doing something amazing. Can you speak a bit about that?
Well, I don't think we even knew shooting the show last season that we would make that big of an impact. I think we were just hoping that people would watch the show. And, you know, the fact that this was a show that was hopefully going to rebrand Lifetime was also what we were more concerned about. But the fact that we did that and people understood it, and they were getting it beyond just us going, we just wanted to make a good show no matter what, is kind of incredible. So when we won that award, I think all of us, one, had no idea that we were even eligible for it, and two, it was something that we didn't even know that we could strive for. And now I feel like we want to kind of be like a back-to-back year winner. Like now I feel like, come on, maybe now we can win 2 years in a row.
Well, you're
I
breaking
know.
such new ground with season 2, of course, and I think in terms of rebranding Lifetime, which you did mention, I think that this show really takes some of the things that executives think women want to see in TV shows and whatnot, and I think builds on them in a very new and interesting way. I love your take on that as well.
Yeah, you know, I think we're speaking to a lot of people. I think even beyond women, and that's what I don't think we realized. Because the issues that we're talking about are just facts, like how women treat women, how there's so much kind of backstabbing as opposed to support just in the workforce, not even in the entertainment business. And then forget about it, the whole idea that reality television is not really as real as everybody believes. So, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. I feel like it's this rock that keeps gathering moss, like the more we keep going down the hill. So I just hope that we continue to make commentary on stuff that people should just be talking about.
I absolutely love this character, but I don't know why, and I think that's sort of the beauty of the way you play this.
Don't you think you need a psychiatrist help and maybe some medication?
What does that say
to help
about
figure
me?
Out why? You must be in a lot of pain. Tell me why you like this character.
I really do. He's my favorite character in the show, and I just can't figure it out.
Now I like you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have to see a psychiatrist.
Yeah, do you need counseling after playing this character?
No, it's cathartic. I mean, he gets to say and do all the stuff that I've learned not to do and say anymore. You know, mainly, I mean, most of it at 5.
Oh my God, that's
He's basically he can be a big baby. He's a bit kind of an emotional baby, but he's also very smart. Like, I think all the characters are very smart. And and they're not nice.
It's an interesting balance because on the one hand you're playing people that are stunted in a lot of ways. They behave childishly, and yet they're so intelligent and diabolical.
Yes, I think the sociopath is they excel in a certain area. I mean, they excel at sort of selling this idea of what love is. But then when it comes to love, and they basically make fun of all the people that they fool. And they make a lot of money off of it, but then you look at their love lives, and it's much worse.
Absolutely.
It's, you know, they're desperately unhappy people who are looking for love, and that's Constance said that at an event today. I thought that's really makes a lot of sense. It's a show about love. It's people looking for love, like every other show, really.
Very different way than The Bachelor is, or Everlasting is looking for.
Yes.
Well, I would love to know more about the way that this character is the voice of reason. He's kind of the voice of sanity in a sea of chaos. Can you talk a bit about playing that? It must be really fun.
Well, I love that you see it that way. I've only recently started to see it that way. It was a crew member who came up to me one day a few weeks ago, actually, on a day where I was like crying in every single scene. And he, you know, it was, you know, it's rare on a show to see like a 6'4" black male like crying in every single scene because of the, you know, the chaos and the, you know, the darkness that is occurring every day around him. But he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, you know what, Jay really is the moral compass of this show. Seeing it through his eyes gives the world of Everlasting a totally different layer. You know, everyone around him is lying, is deceitful, is manipulative, is doing anything and everything by any means necessary in order to climb their way to the top. Whereas Jay has come to a point where there's only so far he will go. He's reached his line. He's not willing to go past it this season. And so he, in many ways, is the voice of reason and is the moral compass of this season. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to play a character who is so strong, is so ambitious, but really does have heart. I don't know if there's any characters on television quite like it. It's an incredible blessing.
I mean, he is somebody that he's able to look the other way a lot, but we do see it start to kind of seep into his consciousness, which I think is fascinating.
It has to. I mean, he's in it, but not of it. But when you are day and night surrounded by this energy and in this environment of such deep manipulation, it's only a matter of time before you fall victim to it as well. So I think this season really is about Jay doing anything and everything necessary to keep his soul, essentially.
What's really interesting, I think the evolution of this character has been pretty fascinating because on the one hand, you kind of had this minor role that slowly but surely became at the forefront and I think became a really key piece of how we see the lead characters. Could you speak to that, the transformation?
Yeah, I mean, he's like, so in season 1, I guess it's like kind of getting to know someone's ex. You know, because he knew her really well before, and so he knew. Yeah, I guess that's right. Is that kind of what you mean? Yeah. So it's like getting to know. When you got to know Jeremy, you got to know Rachel's ex-boyfriend, kind of, and hear the stories.
Yeah, and what have you been excited to play this season that in the first season you wanted to explore a bit more, but really didn't have a chance to? There were so many balls being juggled.
Well, this season you see more of Jeremy's vulnerability, and you see how much it affects him that she kind of treats him like crap. You know?
Finally.
Yeah. Yeah, because it just kind of brushes over. Like the last episode of season 1 is when you see that he gets really hurt, and so now it's like you see how hurt he is.